All right.
All right. Once they assigned a section that we had to search, which was about a 2.5 mile deep by probably a mile wide section we were to clear, which actually ran between two different trails through the forest, which made good boundaries. We worked down the east side, going straight south pretty much, and we passed where they were camping, and we were kind of following like this really steep ravine, and there was this little trail that went off to the west that she wanted to go down, that she kind of picked up something, so she tried to go in that way, but I was kind of more determined to get to the bottom and kind of keep going on our search pattern, because once we reached the bottom we were going to start zigzagging back and forth up between the two trails and work into the wind, which would give her a maximized chance of finding them. But as we kept going, she kept wanting to go back to that point where she wanted to go the first time, so I finally stopped and said, I gotta trust my dog. So I went back and we went that way, and she dove right in and started heading toward them. And I didn't hear him because I was paying too much close attention on watching her, but the guy that was with me thought he heard somebody yell. So I called Leyza back to me and I had her sit down so she didn't make any noise, because I keep a bell on her. And that's what the lost subject finally actually heard, was her bell. So I come here back, we called all the teams on the radios and the command and told them, to cut all radio chatter and to tell the other teams not to make any noise because we were going to try to yell back. So we yelled back and the guy answered again, but we couldn't tell what he was saying. We just heard somebody just sound like he was yelling, and it was echoing so much we couldn't really find the direction that it was possibly coming from. So I sent her back out and she kept leading us back towards him, and I'd keep stopping her every few 100 meters or so, and we'd stop and do a radio quiet and everybody be quiet, and we'd yell, and then he'd respond. And as we got closer, we actually could tell that he was saying help, but he was just so weak he couldn't really scream that loud. So it was kind of hard to tell, because we didn't know if it was just somebody out there messing around with it, because they've had people just kind of showing up on their own and going out there and searching them and not checking in and things like that. And it's always a mess like that at a search. You always have the people that want to get on TV just to get on TV and not really do anything. But once we heard him say help, we knew that, well, this is him. So I set her loose and she took off and I followed her. And as soon as we made visual contact, I saw him. I called her back because I didn't want her running up on him in case he was severely injured or anything like that. I tied her off on a tree and I walked up to him. And he actually, he responded to us. He was actually lucid and speaking. I sat down next to him and just kind of kept talking to him and asked him, how he was, just if he had any major injuries or anything like that, anything hurt. And I just kind of checked to make sure he was kind of stable enough that we could go ahead and call the paramedics in. And we did. We called the paramedics in. While we were waiting for them, I kept talking to him and just trying to keep them in chain of, just kind of keep them talking and not focus on his injuries or anything like that. And Leyza came over and sat down next to him, and he started rubbing on her and petting her, and he was telling me about how he used to have a dog that he just had to put down. It was a shepherd, so he really liked it that she came over and sat down next to him. Of course, she looked him in the face a couple of times, but I think he really got a lot of comfort out of that, and it kind of took his mind off of everything until the paramedics got there. But that's how we found him.